Lee Young-do is the kind of guy most people would underestimate. He spends his mornings exercising, his afternoons delivering fried chicken for his father's restaurant, and his evenings glued to video games with his nerdy best friends. He has blonde highlights in his hair, a permanent grin on his face, and absolutely zero ambition to do anything serious with his life. But there is one thing about Young-do that nobody sees coming. He holds a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, a 3rd-degree black belt in Kendo, and a 3rd-degree black belt in Judo. Combined, that makes him a 9th-degree martial artist, a walking weapon disguised as a chicken delivery boy. One evening, after finishing a delivery run, Young-do is heading home on his scooter when he spots something unusual. A man wearing an electronic ankle bracelet is violently attacking a police officer named Cho Min-jo. The officer is clearly outmatched, bleeding and struggling to defend himself. Most people would call for help. Most people would keep walking. Young-do is not most people. He steps in without hesitation, and within seconds, he subdues the attacker with a level of precision and power that leaves everyone around him stunned. The violent parolee crumbles to the ground. Min-jo stares at his rescuer in disbelief. Following this incident, Young-do receives a commendation for his bravery. But more importantly, he catches the attention of Kim Sun-min, the head of the probation department. Sun-min is a dedicated officer who oversees people wearing electronic monitoring bracelets, convicted criminals released back into society under strict surveillance. There are roughly 5,000 of them across the country, and keeping tabs on all of them is a relentless, dangerous job. Sun-min sees something special in Young-do. Not just his fighting ability, but his instinct, his fearlessness, the way he moved toward danger when everyone else moved away. So Sun-min makes him an offer: fill in temporarily as a martial arts officer while the injured Min-jo recovers. The role is simple on paper: assist probation officers in physically handling violent offenders. In practice, it is anything but simple. Young-do thinks about it for exactly half a second. It sounds fun. He agrees. Sun-min begins training him immediately. He explains how the monitoring system works. Every bracelet sends a signal, and if the battery drops below 30%, the icon turns yellow, and the officer must call the wearer to remind them to charge it. If they refuse to cooperate, the team goes out for an in-person inspection. His first real assignment comes late at night. Young-do is watching the monitoring screen, fighting off sleep, when a warning signal flashes. He calls the offender, a sex criminal named Jong-ho, but the man mutters a few words and hangs up. Young-do reports it immediately, and he and Sun-min rush to Jong-ho's residence. Young-do suggests they split up and block both exits to prevent an escape. Sure enough, when they breach the door, they find Jong-ho inside, in the middle of attempting a lewd act on a victim. Young-do restrains him swiftly and efficiently. The criminal collapses in handcuffs. Standing over the subdued offender, Young-do feels something stir inside him, a strange rush of adrenaline mixed with purpose. Is this what it feels like to actually matter? Back at the station, Young-do is buzzing with energy. But before he can even sit down, another alert pops up on the system. He and Sun-min head out again. This time, the situation is more frustrating. The offenders know the law inside and out, bending every rule to avoid real consequences. Even though the officers are furious, they have to stay within legal boundaries. It is maddening, but it is the job. But the moment they step out of the restaurant, Sun-min's phone rings. An urgent alert. A parolee named Jun-woo has gone off the grid, and his last known location is only 5 minutes away. Based on his criminal record, the police believe he is heading to find an old enemy to take revenge. Sun-min does not hesitate. They race to the location. While searching, Jun-woo's surveillance signal suddenly cuts off. Something is very wrong. Moisture, thinking fast, deploys his drone. The aerial scan quickly spots Jun-woo knocking on someone's door, confirming the worst. He is there for revenge. Young-do moves in. He confronts Jung-woo, who he looks at Sun Min with completely different eyes, not as a boss, but as someone he deeply admires. The next morning, Young-do walks into a hair salon and dyes his blonde highlights black. The carefree delivery boy is gone. In his place stands a man with a purpose. While walking down the street after leaving the salon, Young-do notices something off at a nearby restaurant. A man is gripping a waitress's hand in a way that immediately sets off alarm bells. Young-do's instincts scream that this person is trouble. He reports back to Sun Min, and they check the system. The man is GM Nam, a registered sex offender. When they call him, GM Nam says he plans to have a wild night. The situation is escalating fast. Sun Min and Young-do head out immediately, but GM Nam's signal vanishes. Sun Min guesses he is heading somewhere women work alone. Young-do searches multiple shops but finds nothing, until he passes a hair salon and remembers something. That morning, when he was getting his own hair dyed, he saw GM Nam leaving the same salon. He rushes back. His hunch is right. GM Nam is inside, cornering the terrified owner. Young-do handcuffs him on the spot. The salon owner breaks down in tears of relief. That surge of justice pushes Young-do over the edge. He goes to Sun Min the next morning and declares his intention to become a permanent martial arts officer. Sun Min is thrilled, but he also delivers unexpected news. He is being transferred to lead a new task force. The reason sends a chill through the room. Kang Ki-young is about to be released from prison. Ki-young is not just any criminal. He is a monster. Since 1998, he has molested 15 children, terrorizing the entire country. He served a 20-year sentence, but just mentioning his name makes people tremble. The government has ordered the formation of a special task force to monitor his every move after release. Sun Min will lead it, and without a moment's hesitation, Young-do volunteers to join him. They go to the prison together. Sun Min explains every rule, every restriction, every boundary to Ki-young's face. Then he fastens the electronic monitoring bracelet around Ki-young's ankle. Ki-young listens without a shred of remorse. His eyes are cold, calculating, patient. He has been waiting 20 years for this moment. When news spreads that Ki-young has returned to his old neighborhood, residents flood the streets in protest. They cannot accept living near someone who committed such horrific crimes against children. Ironically, it is the police who must hold the crowd back and protect Ki-young's legal rights. Meanwhile, Ki-young walks through the neighborhood and his gaze lingers. He begins tailing Ki-young personally. But they underestimate just how clever this predator is. Ki-young moves like a ghost, exploiting blind spots and loopholes in the surveillance to shake his follower. He slips into an underground parking garage where he meets a man named Min-wook. This mysterious figure does not hide his business. He distributes child exploitation videos on the dark web. Min-wook offers Ki-young 10 million won for a 10-minute video. No editing required. The victims do not even need to be found. Min-wook will provide them. Ki-young agrees immediately, his eyes lighting up with sick anticipation. Young-do arrives at the parking garage moments too late. He does not see Ki-young, but he spots a suspicious vehicle. Sun Min calls Ki-young to stall for time, but Ki-young sees through the trick immediately. He claims he only came to the area to eat kimchi stew. When Young-do finds him, Ki-young is sitting calmly in a restaurant, eating as if nothing happened. Young-do has to leave empty-handed, but his gut tells him something is deeply wrong. He is also covering his tracks. Before acting, Byung-soon bribed another parolee named Jong-ho to create a diversion. The plan is calculated and vicious. Jong-ho triggers a false alarm at a waste paper factory, drawing Sun Min and Min-jo away from their positions. When they arrive and hear a girl's cry for help, they rush inside, only to discover it is a trap. A group of thugs ambushes them. Sun Min suffers a devastating neck injury. Min-jo is beaten so badly he falls into a vegetative state. What? At the same time, Young-do follows Ki-young's trail to an abandoned warehouse. He realizes too late that no one is there. The door locks behind him, and armed thugs pour out of the shadows. Young-do fights back ferociously, breaking bones and dropping attackers, but he takes a hard blow to the head and begins to lose consciousness. When he comes to, battered and bleeding, he cannot reach Sun Min on the phone. Something is horribly wrong. Young-do drags himself to Ki-young's apartment building, desperate to stop whatever is happening. He notices strange footprints leading down the basement stairs. His blood runs cold. He follows them to a locked door. From inside, he hears muffled sounds, panting, the shuffling of feet. Ki-young is in there with the girl. Young-do pounds on the door. Ki-young and Byung-soon freeze inside. When the door will not open, Young-do moves to the window and begins tearing at the iron bars with his bare hands. The noise is so loud that neighbors hear it and call the police. With a final surge of desperate strength, Young-do rips the bars free and crawls through the broken window. Inside, he finds Min-yo tied up, terrified but alive. Relief washes over him, but only for a second. Ki-young attacks. The two clash in a brutal fight. Young-do is already exhausted from the warehouse ambush, and Ki-young is ferocious, a man with nothing left to lose. Just as Young-do begins to gain the upper hand, Ki-young drives a blade into his shoulder. The pain is blinding. Ki-young takes the opening and escapes through the front door, slipping past the arriving officers in the chaos. Young-do collapses on the floor beside Min-yo, his blood pooling on the concrete.
긴급 중환 요청.
The mystic words. But her mother's eyes tell a different story. Min-yo has not left the house since the incident. She does not communicate. She shows signs of severe depression. Young-do realizes he is the only thread keeping this little girl tethered to hope. He cannot give up.
다시 한번 감사드립니다.
At first, Young-do plans to rest and recover. Then he sees Ki-young's face on the television. The predator is still out there, still free, and if no one stops him, there will be more victims. Min-yo will be haunted forever. Young-do calls his friends. Moisture, Rider K, and Earthworm do not hesitate. They are in. Using the license plate number Young-do memorized from the suspicious car in the parking garage, the group tracks down Min-wook's address. When they arrive, Min-wook's face is painted with guilt and terror. Young-do bursts in and restrains him. After hacking into Min-wook's phone, they discover a horrifying collection of secretly filmed videos of children. Young-do nearly loses control. His rage is volcanic, barely human. His friends have to physically hold him back from doing something he cannot undo. Min-wook, sobbing and begging for mercy, confesses everything and reveals where Ki-young has been hiding. The four of them know they cannot wait. If Ki-young senses he has been exposed, he will vanish. They split up. Moisture stays back, piloting his drone to monitor the situation from above. The other three fan out, knocking on doors, gathering information. Young-do discovers a house with an unusual number of bowls and chopsticks piled outside the door. Someone has been feeding a crowd. He suspects Ki-young is inside. He is right. Ki-young is in there with Byung-soon. Ki-young makes a run for it. Moisture guides Young-do through the streets via drone, calling out every turn, every shortcut. Young-do closes the distance and corners Ki-young at the end of an alley. But Ki-young is not running anymore. He has spotted the drone. He knows he is being tracked, so he turns and faces Young-do head-on. This time, there is no ambush to weaken Young-do first. No stab wounds slowing him down. This time, it is pure martial arts versus brute savagery. Ki-young throws everything he has at Young-do, punches, grabs, desperate lunges. But Young-do is a 9th-degree martial artist fighting for something bigger than himself. He is fighting for Min-yo. Every strike carries the weight of that rage and that love. When Ki-young manages to overpower him for a brief moment, Moisture swoops the drone in and slams it into Ki-young's face, blinding him just long enough for Young-do to regain control. With one devastating kick, Young-do sends Ki-young crashing to the ground. Young-do pulls out a pair of handcuffs, his first time ever using them. He claps them onto Ki-young's wrists and reads him his rights, glancing at little notes scribbled on his own wrist because he wanted to get the words exactly right. He breathes. It is over. At the award ceremony, all four friends are personally presented with certificates of merit by the President of South Korea. The cameras flash. The audience applauds. But the moment that truly breaks Young-do is when he looks into the crowd and sees Min-yo standing there, holding a bouquet of flowers. She came. She left her house. She is smiling. Young-do steps down from the stage and bows deeply to the little girl. Minyo tells him she is safe. That simple sentence carries more weight than any medal ever could. But Young-do, this is who he is. This is what he was always meant to do.